Listen carefully. There are some names in Lagos that carry their own weather. When people say them, the air shifts. Conversations pause. Heads turn. Madame Kofo was one of those names. Her store in Oja Oba Market wasn't just big. It was a landmark. 3 floors of the finest lace, Ankara, imported fabrics, and that intoxicating scent of fresh textile rolls stacked to the ceiling like towers of silk and secrets. Politicians bought from her. Celebrities greeted her with bows. Market women admired her from a distance. Even the rude Lagos bus drivers, yes, those ones, slowed down when she crossed the road. To the world, she was a respected businesswoman. A woman of influence. A queen. But what Lagos didn't know was this. Madame Kofo's true business wasn't selling fabric. It was smuggling drugs. Half of West Africa's supply was being moved under her watch, hidden beneath rolls of expensive lace and Ankara prints. The queen of cloth was the queen of crime. Only 2 people knew her truth. Ade, her loyal driver, a man who had seen too much to ever speak. Idowu, her silent, intimidating bodyguard, a man whose eyes held the weight of violence. Both were bound by blood oath. Both would die before they talked. Her husband, Chief Olaya, had no idea.
Before we go deeper into this story, if you love thrilling tales, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.
The woman who never blinked. Kofo had a habit, a strange one. She rarely blinked in conversations. Her eyes stayed locked on you, cold but smiling. People mistook it for confidence, power, control. But those who stood too close, they felt something else. A quiet darkness behind her pupils. Like she was seeing 2 things at once, the person in front of her, and the thing behind them that they couldn't see. Rumors began to spread through the market like smoke. She is too rich for someone who sells only fabric. I heard her store was robbed once, and the thieves never reached home. Their bodies were found floating in the lagoon. Her bodyguard doesn't talk. Maybe he can't. Maybe his tongue was cut out. People whispered, but nobody confronted her. Nobody dared, because in Lagos, power isn't just about money. It's about fear, and Madame Kofo had mastered both. One day, a man named Colonel Adeoye walked into her shop. He was a rising politician, a businessman with big dreams and empty pockets. He owed dangerous people money, people who didn't accept excuses, people who sent messages with machetes. He was desperate. He wanted to partner with Madame Kofo, hoping her influence would save him from his debts. Kofo smiled politely, but she read people like open books. She saw the desperation pooling in his eyes. She smelled the fear seeping from his pores. She knew an opportunity when she saw one. So she offered him something small, a simple job. Carry a package to London for me. Colonel didn't know the package was drugs. He didn't ask questions. Money had blinded him, and that blindness would cost him everything. The trip that never ended. Colonel traveled on Friday. He never arrived. Officials in London found the drugs hidden in his luggage, traced the shipping code back to Lagos, and the case exploded into an international scandal. Colonel's family claimed he was innocent. Social media erupted with hashtags. Lagos gossips had a feast. WhatsApp groups were on fire. Instagram stories were wild. But Madame Kofo? She did not panic. She did not sweat. She continued attending parties, smiling, laughing, dancing in her expensive lace and gold jewelry. Even her husband, Chief Olaya, was shocked at her composure. Kofo, the man who was arrested, he came to your shop, didn't he? She waved her hand dismissively. Many people come to my shop. Am I supposed to know their personal business? But beneath her calm exterior, a new problem was growing. Someone knew Colonel was working for her. Someone had evidence. And someone wanted to bring her down.
If you're hooked on this story, do me a favor, smash that like button. It helps more people discover these untold stories.
The first warning. Late one night, her driver Ade found a small envelope tucked under the windshield wiper of the car. Inside it was a single message, typed in bold letters. I know what you hide in your fabric. Ade's hands trembled as he handed it to Kofo. She didn't flinch. She simply said, burn it. But that night, she did something she hadn't done in years. She locked her bedroom door. She checked the windows twice. She pulled the curtains tight. And she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing, her mind racing through names, faces, possibilities. The queen of Ojaoba was afraid. For the first time in a long time, she felt watched. A new face in the market. Days later, a young woman named Saad arrived in the market. Polite, quiet, too polite, too quiet. She asked around for Madame Kofo. She wasn't a customer. She wasn't a trader. She worked for an investigative journalist. And her brother was Kunnal, the man who was caught in London. Saad didn't believe her brother was stupid enough to fall into drug trafficking on his own. She knew him. He was desperate, yes. Foolish, maybe. But not a drug lord. She believed someone set him up. Someone powerful. Someone respected. Someone untouchable. She believed it was Kofo. And she was going to prove it. The shadows close in. Saad began asking questions. Small ones at first. How long has Kofo been in business? Does she travel often? Where does she go? Asterisk. Why does her bodyguard look like he's ex-military? Special forces, even. The market women whispered to Kofo. Madam, that girl is dangerous. She doesn't fear anybody. She's asking too many questions. Kofo dismissed them at first. Let her ask. I have nothing to hide. But then the second message came. This time with a photo. A grainy picture of her warehouse at night. The back entrance. The trucks. The shadows of men loading boxes. Someone had been watching. Someone knew. Kofo's jaw tightened. She tightened her security. Tripled her deliveries. Moved her products faster than ever before. But the walls were closing in. The driver speaks. Ade, her driver, approached her late one night in the compound. His voice was low, shaking. Madam, I think she knows. Kofo's fingers tightened around her teacup. The porcelain nearly cracked. Who? The girl. The one asking questions. Saad. Kofo's voice dropped into a cold whisper. The kind that made grown men shrink. Ade. Do you remember the oath you swore? Ade nodded nervously, his throat dry. I will die before I betray you. Kofo gave a small, slow smile. That is why you are still alive. Sada's discovery. Saad followed the bodyguard, Idowu, one night. She kept her distance, moving through the shadows like a ghost. He walked through narrow alleys behind the market, finally stopping at a warehouse. Huge, unmarked, silent. Trucks were coming in and out. Big ones. The kind used for international shipments. Then she heard it. A scream. Short, sharp, followed by the dull thud of fists meeting flesh. Someone inside the warehouse was being beaten. When the trucks finally left, Saad sneaked inside through a broken side window. What she found made her blood freeze. Rolls of expensive lace, neatly slit open along the seams, and resealed. Inside each one, small, tightly wrapped packets of white powder. Cocaine. Heroin. Maybe both. She took pictures. Evidence. The kind that could destroy a queen.
If this story is giving you chills, subscribe now so you don't miss the shocking conclusion.
The hunt. Kofo awoke to news that shook her to her core. Saad is missing. Her bodyguard had followed Kofo's orders. Find her, but don't leave evidence. Idowu was good at his job. Too good. But Saad had friends. 2 journalists who were ready to publish everything if she didn't return within 48 hours. For the first time in years, Kofo's hands shook. The empire she had built, brick by brick, body by body, was crumbling. The raid. By 11:43 p.m., 3 black police vans rolled into Oja-Oba Market with headlights off. 6 armed officers stepped out quietly. Then 12 more. Then the anti-narcotics unit. Then SARS. Boots hit the ground with military precision, rifles raised, radios hissing static and coordinates. Their target was simple. Arrest Madame Kofo. Seize the goods. Shut down the empire. But nothing about Kofo was simple. Inside her shop, Kofo sat on her velvet stool, wrapper tied tight, gele sitting like a crown on her head. The air around her shifted. She sensed something before it even happened, the way animals sense earthquakes before they strike. She whispered, "They are here." Ade's hands began shaking uncontrollably. But Idowu, the bodyguard, cracked his knuckles and stepped forward with a quiet exhale. His face was calm, too calm, like a man who had been waiting for this moment his entire life. The breach, the first metal door exploded inward with a deafening bang. A policeman shouted, "Everybody down! Hands where we can see them!" But they weren't talking to random shoppers. They were talking to Kofo herself. Two officers rushed forward, boots pounding against the marble floor. A third aimed his rifle straight at Idowu's chest. "Don't move! Don't you dare!" Idowu moved first. The ground shook under his feet as he launched forward like a charging bull. His fist collided with the nearest officer's chest so hard the man flew backward into a towering shelf of Ankara fabrics, knocking the entire row down like falling dominoes. Rolls of lace tumbled. Dust exploded into the air. "Take him! Take him down!" The commander screamed. Three officers grabbed Idowu. He slammed one into a full-length mirror. Glass shattered, glittering like diamonds across the floor. He flipped the second officer onto a wooden sewing table, which cracked clean in half. The third tried to tase him. The taser connected. Bzzzzzzzt. Idowu didn't even flinch. He broke the taser wire with one hand, grabbed the officer's bulletproof vest, lifted him like a sack of beans, and threw him out through the shop window. Glass exploded across the market corridor. Women screamed. Children ran. Madame Kofo's voice cut through the chaos, cold and steady. "Don't kill anybody, Idowu. Only delay them." But Idowu had stopped listening the moment he saw the guns. His death wish. For years, Idowu had lived as Kofo's shadow. Her weapon, her loyal beast, bound by an oath he never chose, haunted by a secret she held over him. A secret that chained his soul tighter than any prison. He had killed for her, buried bodies for her, watched innocent people disappear because she commanded it. And every night, he stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep, unable to breathe, unable to escape. So when he saw the police coming for him, he felt something he had not felt in years. Relief. Sweet, trembling, overwhelming relief. Finally, an end. The final saga. More officers stormed in, 8, 10, 12 of them. 6 men tackled Idowu to the ground. 2 hit him with batons across his back, his ribs, his shoulders. 1 fired rubber bullets at point-blank range. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Idowu roared. Not in pain. In freedom. He twisted his body like a serpent. He shoved 2 officers off him and sent them crashing into the center display table, shattering perfume bottles and glass trays. He headbutted another officer so hard the man's nose broke with a sickening crack. Blood sprayed. Then, bang! A gunshot. 1 clean, deafening blast. The bullet tore through Idowu's chest, just below his collarbone. Then another shot. Bang. Then another. Bang. His body jerked with each impact. His knees buckled. He staggered backward, massive hands falling to his sides, blood blooming across his black shirt like dark roses. Madame Kofo screamed his name. Idowu! But Idowu smiled. Not a small smile. Not one of pain or defiance. A wide, peaceful, satisfied smile. A smile that said, "At last, I am free." He looked at Kofo one final time. Their eyes locked. She saw it then, the relief in his gaze, the gratitude, the forgiveness he never spoke aloud. And slowly, gracefully, like a warrior who had waited years to lay down his weapon, he fell. His body hit the floor with a heavy thud, and the smile never left his face. The chaos. The police stormed in deeper now that the beast had fallen. They grabbed Ade. They shoved him to the ground, cuffing his wrists. They aimed their rifles at Kofo. "Madame Kofo, you are under arrest. Get on the ground now." But Kofo didn't panic. She had planned for this moment years ago. While the officers swarmed around Idowu's body, radios crackling with commands, backup being called, chaos filling every corner of the shop. Kofo moved, slowly, calmly, like a woman simply adjusting her wrapper. She stepped backward toward the wall of stacked fabric, her hands behind her back as if surrendering. The officers were focused on securing Ade, checking Idawu's pulse, sweeping the front entrance. No one saw her fingers press the small hidden latch behind the tallest shelf. Click! A panel in the wall slid open, silent, seamless, invisible unless you knew it was there. Kofo slipped through, gone. By the time an officer turned to cuff her, she had vanished into the darkness of a tunnel that ran beneath the market. A tunnel she had built 3 years ago for exactly this purpose. One exit led to a pharmacy 2 streets away. Another led to a car park where a driver she had never met was already waiting with a black SUV, engine running, license plates fake. The Queen had escaped, not by magic, but by preparation. The aftermath, what happened next, no one talks about, not officially. By the time backup arrived and officers realized Kofo was gone, it was too late. They tore the shop apart looking for her. They found the hidden tunnel. They found the exit points. But Kofo? She was already 3 states away, sitting in the back of a luxury bus, wrapped in a simple headscarf, looking like any other tired Lagos woman traveling home. Ade was arrested. The warehouse was seized. Trucks were impounded. Workers interrogated. But Madame Kofo? She slipped through their fingers like smoke. No body, no trace, no arrest. Just a hidden tunnel, an empty shop, and Idawu's body lying on the floor, still smiling. The last party. Months later, a lavish party was held in Victoria Island. Celebrities, politicians, money dripping from chandeliers. And in the corner, sipping champagne beneath dim lights, stood a woman in a shimmering gold gele. Her face was partly hidden by expensive sunglasses and a veil of smoke. Someone recognized her silhouette. Wait, isn't that? But before they could finish, she slipped into the darkness, swallowed by the crowd. Rumor says she now operates from another country. Ghana, maybe, Abidjan, Accra. Still smuggling, still surrounded by loyal shadows. Lagos no longer sees her, but whispers remain. In Oja Oba, when traders tell the story to young apprentices, they end it with one sentence. Never trust a woman who never blinks. Now here's the real question. Will Madame Kofo ever be caught? Is she still out there, watching, waiting, building another empire? Or has she disappeared forever into the shadows?
Drop a comment below and tell me. Do you want part 2 of this story? Should we follow Kofo to her new life abroad? Should Saad get her revenge? Or should some mysteries stay buried? Your comments will decide if this story continues. And if you made it to the end, you're now part of a small group who knows the truth about Madame Kofo. Would you recognize her if you saw her at a party tomorrow? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more thrilling and chilling stories. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.